All right, so the theme of this video is, that was a record month. What happens next? All right, the numbers are in for July, and we've got your market update for Peterborough, Ontario. Stick around to the end. I'm going to give you my thoughts and predictions about what we should be keeping an eye on in the coming months. And I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Comment down below if you have anything specific to bring to the conversation, what your thoughts are and what's going to play out. And if you're getting any value out of these videos, guys, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps to promote it. Okay, so diving into the numbers here. July, total sales, 152 sales. That's a record sales volume, and it indicates everything that we thought about what COVID did to this market is happening, in the sense that the two busiest months of the year, normally April and May, were almost totally wiped out, and that activity has been deferred into June and July. So it's almost like we're seeing April was moved into June, and then May, the peak month, has been moved into July, because that's an absolutely massive number, 152 sales. And we see that last year, which was still a great year, 2019, there was only 120 sales. So significant sales volume in July, a massive month. Active listings, 77 listings. If you guys have been following these videos, you know I love to look at months of inventory. When you take the amount of sales that happened last month, divide it into the active listings, you're gonna get a number that tells you how many months of inventory we have ahead of us. The number is currently nearing, if not a record low of 0.52 months. That means that in roughly 15 days, if we had no new listings coming on, at our current sales pace, we would be totally out of active listings in the city. That's an extremely low number. It means that this is a very fierce market, and that there is not enough product available versus how many buyers are actively looking. Prices at this amount of inventory will be rising rapidly, and it is an extremely competitive environment. So, average price year to date, does it follow what we've been saying in the past month's videos in terms of the low inventory and prices rising? Yes, it does. Average price year to date is $461,000 and change. That's up 8% year over year on the sales price year to date. Now, more significantly is that if you watch the last month's videos as well, the price hadn't really risen that drastically year over year. But now we're at an 8% increase year over year. So what happened? July's sales price, average sales price, was massive. Average sales price for, I wrote June here, that's July, pardon me. Average sales price for July was slightly over 500,000. In speaking with my broker of record, he says that's the first time he has ever seen that number over 5. So in the month of July, the average sales price in the city of Peterborough was over 500,000. When we take away the year-to-date statistic and just go with July, that's up 16% year over year. So from July of last year. Okay, so July was a record month, but the big question is, where do we go from here? Everybody is keeping an eye on the key dates of September and October, being when CERB ends and when mortgage deferrals that were given a 6-month timeline also come due. I've heard estimates, many of them ranging around 15% of total mortgages in Canada have been deferred. So we're trying to weigh out what is going to happen to the overall buyer appetite and how much new supply might be created through distressed sales or forced sales once these mortgage deferrals end. We've been watching this and waiting for this so-called mortgage deferral cliff ever since this program started in early March. Now, we're only a couple of months away from seeing how this all unfolds, and I do think that people are somewhat hyper-focused on this negative factor because it's the one we hear about most because it's Canada-wide. In terms of our city, the city of Peterborough specifically, I want to bring another point to the table and get your guys' opinion on it. We know that Toronto buyers have been crashing our market, and we are seeing a ton of migration out of the city ever since the COVID era has began. We know that our inventory has already been wiped out, but what's even more interesting is that we currently don't have any ability to up this inventory for the new buyers. In a typical year like this, when we had a strong buyer's market, home builders would be having a heyday. That's not the case right now. There is 2 building lots left in the Heritage Park subdivision, which is a long-standing, nearly a 20-year subdivision that's brought hundreds of homes on. And the next major detached development is going to be the Lily Lake Road site. And they're looking at fall permits. If everything works out and they actually get fall permits, you're looking at 4 to 9 months for construction times. So that means roughly 1 full year until we can see any significant volume of new home construction, detached new home construction brought onto the market. So how does this play out? We normally build between or roughly 200 new homes a year in Peterborough, sometimes less and sometimes more. There's been some boom years where we've seen over 400 new detached dwellings created. And what I want to ask is, how much do the deferrals and the state of the unemployment and CERB really cut off our buyers when we see such a significant trend of people moving in from Toronto? So in conclusion, I want to end this with stating that I think one of the most underestimated factors in our market, not the total Canadian market or even just the Ontario market right now in terms of real estate prices and demand, is that our city of Peterborough is seeing so many new migrants from the GTA due to the fact that many large businesses are decentralizing their workforce. I think that the ability of the knowledge worker to work from home and the fact that so many large businesses have decided to stop having their workers have to work at a central GTA location is one of the most underestimated factors right now, because it's real, it's happening. Buyers are coming from Toronto and moving here. They've got great budgets, they've got great incomes, they have jobs and incomes that cannot be supported locally, but they still have their employment in the GTA, but they do not have to live there. This is such a significant factor because there is potentially an endless amount of these profile of people that are knowledge-based and mobile and can move wherever and still do their job and receive their income. And the population of the GTA and these type of people absolutely dwarfs our city's population. We're already having inventory issues. We have no new homes, no new detached homes to bring onto the market. And even if things start to crash and mortgage deferrals really play into this, and 1 out of 2 of all of these buyers from Toronto have lost their employment and CERB affects them. If they can't afford their mortgage in Toronto, what are they going to do? Are they going to sit there and go into default and let the bank take over their house? Or are they going to sell it and take their multi-hundred thousands of dollars worth of equity to somewhere where they can afford to buy a home with a minimal mortgage? So we really got to think about that. Not to mention, we know that the baby boomer demographic has always been playing a huge part in our economy's preferences in just about every part of our economics. If we had baby boomer owners in the GTA that had been waiting and thinking about moving to cottage country or to a town like Peterborough where they could get some more affordable real estate and selling in the GTA, what a better push than at a time when the major cities are the epicenters of the viral spread of COVID, and when parks are being shut down and all kinds of the amenities that they loved in Toronto are not as accessible as they used to be. What better push to sell in Toronto and move here now when you're waiting for a time to do it? So I think that there are so many people that might continue to move from Toronto that we could continue to be totally overwhelmed in terms of our ability to service that demand. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that the The Toronto buyers are the real underlying and underestimated factor right now? Or do you think that the mortgage deferrals and CERB ending are truly going to be the end of this bull market, so to speak, in terms of our Ontario and Peterborough real estate sales and pricing? Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.